winter hygiene. So Jeff and I wanted to share some of our tricks, our experience, and just touch on common topics that people struggle with or have questions about when it comes to staying clean, which inevitably, if you are clean, you are more likely to be warm and happy while you're out winter camping or winter excursion. So we're going to give a lot of examples from just like a simple overnight camping trip or longer extended periods of time, let's just say a month. So we'll start with pooping and peeing.
Guys, I guess it's pretty straightforward, the peeing part. And then for men, women, and children, the pooping part. Obviously, if you don't have an outhouse or somewhere to poop, squatting is going to be your choice, only choice. So if squatting is something that you're incapable of doing, then you're going to have to locate a tree or a large stump that you place your back against to help you squat down and get as low as you can. Or, you know, if you can go over a hill or a hole or something of that sort. And then your options for wiping material, which we've covered in other videos, would be things such as barks. Snow obviously is the go-to in winter. So, you know, essentially making a snowball out of snow and compacting that to wipe your butt. And in the process of doing that, you'll know when your butt's clean, when the snow is no longer, you know what color. And then you want to cover peeing for women?
Yeah, so we talked about this in another video, but peeing for women, pee rag is awesome. You can also use snow just to wipe with pee, but also I want to add here that your health, especially digestive health, how your poops are coming out, is going to reflect how easy it is to stay clean and to deal with wiping in the winter, and actually all year round. But we'll talk again. Another topic is about snow baths. So, okay, so we have, you know, pooping and peeing. We kind of understand how to stay clean, but what about the rest of our bodies? And so, yeah, essentially a snow bath is super easy. All you want to do, you want to do it on a day that's pretty warm to begin with, because you're going to want to get naked. Or some people do half of their body at a time, which works really well.
Or at night around a fire. But if you're in a group situation where you're not, you're not looking to get naked in front of the other participants in your group, then that can make it a little bit harder. But if people take turns,
yeah, so it's super simple. I mean, you're taking either snow or snow on a cloth, and you're just wiping your body. So it's super important, especially in the winter. What happens is that we're constantly, we're layered up. And what people do is they'll wear the same layers over and over and over again. And so you have a lot of dead skin buildup, surprisingly, in your, especially, let's say, base layers. So you want to get your base layers in sun and wind to keep them clean. But also you want to clean your body off. So the snow will act as a scrub. It takes dead skin off. It keeps your skin hydrated
yeah,
and
feeling fresh.
Yeah, it's a great way to get off like sweat if you had built up sweat
throughout the day. Yeah, if you're trekking or like backpacking through country, hiking in the winter. I think, is that it for snow baths?
Yeah, and I would just speak to this as well, that like your health going into it is going to impact. So we were just talking about dry skin. And if you have dry skin, with your snow bath, you're going to experience more skin conditions than, you know, if you're not struggling with eczema or things like that. But maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later.
So the next bath option would be smoke baths. So if you're having an open fire, an option to, you know, keep bugs and disease and that type of stuff at bay is to disinfect it with the smoke. It's often more common in the spring, summer, fall months when there is bugs. It's a way to keep the bugs off you, but it's another way to, I guess, kind of slightly disinfect your skin and body.
And I think with that, just the reminder that in the winter, oftentimes, again, people are keeping their layers on and they're covering up everything, but you want your skin to get the sun, especially, you know, if you have a spot that's super sunny It's good for so many reasons, but just reminder that we want sun exposure. So whether that's, you know, for a kind of sun bath or something like that, or just to feel good, to get, you know, air going onto your skin, to get more sunlight on different parts of your body. It feels amazing. Even if like in the moment it's briefly cold or like, yeah, briefly shocking to the body.
Maybe touch on like using the sunlight for cleaning clothes and like give an example of how you had to deal with it.
Yeah, so on my time at Teaching Drum, we were 2 months. We didn't have soap or anything like that. So how did we clean clothes? So again, you know, you're going to be wearing underwear. And so there were 2 ways. The one is you want to use wind, and you want to be using sun to disinfect any potential bacterial buildup on your clothing. You also can put your clothes in water. So submerge it and then wring it out as best as you can. What they shared was that like the protozoans, those small little like microscopic bugs or, you know, animals in the water that are small will come and they'll actually feed off of, let's say, the dead skin that's on your clothes or any
bacteria, sweat.
Yeah, they'll come and chew it off. I don't know how much truth there is to all of that, but we did soak our clothes for at least 2 to 3 days underwater, and then you would just wring them out and then put them somewhere where there's lots of good wind flow and sunlight. So that's the best way to, you know, wash your clothes if you don't have soap. Yeah.
I guess the next thing to go on to, it goes along with the cleaning with using the sun of the lake, was you mentioned shaking your base layer out. Especially like Gary was saying, in a longer term situation, you know, if 1 or 2 days might not be a big deal, but if you're spending a week to 2 weeks plus, taking the base layer off and shaking it in the outdoors, getting that sunlight and air in it would be best. But just getting the dry skin, your hair, whatever's built up, sweat, just shaking the base layer out, well, probably once a day if you can, would be ideal.
Yeah, and going back to the health piece, so if you, let's just say, if you're detoxing, so a lot of people will naturally actually detox when they go out in nature because they're more relaxed. You know, they're probably eating maybe better food, or they're walking more, or maybe they're sweating or more movement. And so if you have more toxicity in your body and you're detoxing, well, your BO is going to smell a lot more than someone who's not. What would be another example of that?
If you're someone who sweats a lot, or yeah, like just your general baseline toxicity, people who are often like more clogged up with whatever it might be hindering their system tend to have worse body odor and stuff that could you know, really affect you when you do peel your layers off if you're in a group situation or in your tent or a quinzhee or a yurt like we're in right now, closed quarters like that.
Yeah, or like your resiliency of your body. So like even skin, for example, like dry skin condition, eczema, like all these skin things that can come up, like infections. You know, if your baseline of health is better, then the chances that you get, you know, these potential symptoms while you're out go down.
And I guess finishing with staying dry is really important to that hygiene piece for fungal and bacterial things to grow. They need the dark, moist environment. So if we can keep our boots dry and our socks dry, our feet dry while we're doing, say, a cross-country expedition in the cold months, can be super important. So if you're trekking each day, taking the socks off, taking your boots, your boot liners apart can be key if you're going to be doing something more than like a day trip, just to make sure that you're not going to end up with some type of foot fungus or like foot rot because you're sweating in your boots a whole ton every day while you're hiking, pulling a sled, or trekking up mountains, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I'll tie and finish that up off with like staying dry, which means you have to have proper gear that you've tested before. And that means that when you're starting to sweat and you're exerting yourself, you actually don't want to be sweating. Because if you're in a true winter situation and it's cold and you sweat a bunch, what's going to happen when you stop and you're not producing heat yourself, you're going to freeze. Your body temperature is going to drop, and now your layers are wet and frozen and sapping your core temperature, and you're putting yourself in a not so good situation.
Yeah, a great example to just cap this off, we'll end with this, is I did a overnight Quincy trip in high school where we went out with groups, and me and my partner did our Quincy. While our Quincy's sintered and settled, we all the boys went and played football on the lake, the frozen lake, and then come back and everyone cooks their food, we have our fires, and then by the end going to bed, dry sleeping bag, nice sleeping mat under the sleeping bag. Quincy was actually relatively warm. It was, maybe 0 or like +2 inside the Quincy. Yeah, but I just did not want to take my cold socks off. And I wore my pants and I was freezing the whole time because that little bit of moisture on my clothes that I didn't get in my sleeping bag and peel all my clothes off and get naked and just be in my dry sleeping bag rather than my slightly damp clothes. I froze for like an hour or two not being able to sleep. As soon as I peeled my, moist clothes off, that changed everything. I was able to get my heat back up and have a good night. So yeah, staying dry, and it can feel like, my socks are dry. They're not soaking wet. They're not full of sweat. Well, it might just be a little bit of moisture that's just zapping your heat the whole time.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, don't let any of this stop you from going out. The only way you'll get better and better at it is by direct experience. So get out there and...
She's doing it.
Yeah, and we're learning a lot with her. Yeah, get out there and enjoy the process of learning.